Can everyone hear me? You folks in the back okay? Excellent. Well, good morning. I'm Cody Kaiser with University of Kentucky Strategic Communications. Thank you for joining us both in person and also online for this announcement. We have several guests who will be speaking today, and at the end we'll have an opportunity for them to field any questions you may have. To get started, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Dr. Eli Cappolito became the 12th president of the University of Kentucky on July 1st, 2011. Under his leadership, the Commonwealth's flagship and land-grant research university has grown from $2.7 billion to nearly $5.1 billion in total operations and has gained significant momentum in fulfilling its mission of teaching, research, service, and healthcare. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Eli Cappolito.
Thank you, Cody. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone who embodies our mission to serve Kentucky. We call ourselves the University of, for, and with Kentucky, and we've lived that promise for more than 150 years, and I always have to say, thanks to all of those people who came before us. And today's celebration is one of those too. And throughout the pandemic, we served as a source of healing when our people needed it most. When we launched that COVID-19 vaccination center at Kroger Field, the sense of hope was palpable. When you walked through the halls, there and across this campus, you could sense it. You could feel the hope pulsing out of that vaccine center to nearly every corner of this campus, community, and commonwealth. That sense of duty, that commitment to serve and to care is not anything new to the University of Kentucky. It's what we do, it's who we are, and it's what we must and will do. The Sanders Brown Center on Aging, since its inception in 1985, think of that, 1985, has delivered on that promise. I can think of few words more frightening or haunting than "you have Alzheimer's." 3 words, a prognosis that changes a life and many, many families. But at the University of Kentucky, we have a cadre of faculty, researchers, clinicians, and staff who are going to walk the journey with those patients and their families. And today, thanks to the work of those people and those who have come before us, we can extend the critical role we play in finding solutions and providing that compassionate care. Indeed, we're building on our capacity to continue walking that journey so that our patients and our families don't have to walk it alone. The National Institute on Aging has announced that the University of Kentucky Sanders Brown Center on Aging has received $14.5 million in renewal funding as an Alzheimer's disease research center. Now that deserves a round of applause, folks. UK is one of the 10 original centers in the US, and it's been continuously funded since its inception. That really makes us one of the longest funded Alzheimer's disease research centers in the nation. And this work, I don't have to tell you, has never been more important. In 2020, according to the CDC, there are 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's disease. In Kentucky, it's some 75,000. And those numbers that the CDC projects are to triple in the next 40 years. So once again, in the face of these breathtaking statistics, there's us. There's this special and remarkable place, and there is you. Today's announcement reaffirms that UK is one of the country's leading research institutions in the science, study, and treatment of one of society's greatest medical mysteries and challenges. So I'll start with some thanks and know that all of these individuals have many others that they recognize and thank day after day after day. Have to start with Dr. Linda Van Eldick. Thank you, Linda, and the Sanders Brown Center team. Vice President for Research, Lisa Casas, and Mark Newman and the caregivers at UK Healthcare, and Congressman Andy Barr for his unyielding support for this work. We know this insidious disease primarily affects patients, but it's also their families. And so I want to thank them for the strength they show day after day to go on this journey with those who are dear to them. Without you, what we would do together for your loved ones would be difficult and some days impossible. So this is and will be the work of the state's flagship land-grant research university, the University of, for, and with Kentucky. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, President Cappolito. On to our next guest. Dr. Mark Newman became the University of Kentucky Executive Vice President for Health Affairs in October of 2017. He leads UK Healthcare, the clinical enterprise of the University of Kentucky, and the Commonwealth's largest academic health system, a $2.2 billion enterprise with 40,000 inpatient discharges and 1.6 million clinic and outpatient hospital visits annually. And this includes UK Chandler Hospital, named #1 hospital in Kentucky for the 6th year in a row. Please welcome Dr. Mark Newman.
Thank you, Cody. I want to add my congratulations to Dr. Van Eldick and the Sanders Brown Center on Aging team. I also want to thank Congressman Barr for his continued support and for joining us here in this celebration today. At UK Healthcare, our vision is one community committed to creating a healthier Kentucky. And I think as I speak today for everyone here that we could not be prouder to have anyone be part of our community than our Sanders Brown team. And again, I just want to thank them for all that they do. We are trying, whether we are trying to find answers for what's going on with our recent coronavirus pandemic or a cure for Alzheimer's disease, we know that research is the key for the future of medicine and for patient care. As Kentuckians, we should be extremely proud that the Bluegrass is home to some of the leaders in research and the physicians and leaders found anywhere in the world, thanks to the UK Sanders Brown Center on Aging. As an academic medical center, the relationship between our researchers and our clinical care teams creates that synergy that can't be found anywhere else. And it's important because that is how we will change and influence medicine and care as we see it both now and in our future. Again, let me express my congratulations and gratitude to all of the team at Sanders Brown for your continued success and extraordinary achievements in working towards a cure that will give millions who suffer from Alzheimer's disease a new hope. Thank you for that hope and that you give to them and to all of us. Thank you.
Our next speaker, thank you, Dr. Newman. Our next speaker is Dr. Elisa Casas. Dr. Casas has served as the University of Kentucky's Vice President for Research since June 2015. She joined the faculty at UK in 1988 and is currently a professor in the Department of Pharmacology and Nutritional Sciences with affiliations in the Saha Cardiovascular Research Center, Barnstable Brown Diabetes Center, and the College of Pharmacy. She is principal investigator on several multi-million-dollar federal grants and has been continuously funded by the NIH for more than 30 years. Please welcome Dr. Lisa Casas.
Thank you, Cody. Good morning. I'd like to begin by thanking the people who are in these seats up here with me this morning, starting with President Cappolito for their support for the research mission in general and for the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center we're celebrating today. I'd also like to thank the Commonwealth of Kentucky for their support for the Sanders Brown Research Facility, and a special thanks to Congressman Barr for his ever-steady support in Congress for research funding at agencies such as the NIH that advanced UK's research mission and commitment to the Commonwealth. It's indeed a great pleasure to celebrate the renewal of the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center and thank the NIH for their continued support. As you've heard thus far, this extramural support has an immense impact on a devastating problem that so many families face as our populations continue to age, namely Alzheimer's disease and neurodegenerative diseases. The incredible team, led by Dr. Linda Van Eldick, have been forging ahead with studies that span the breadth of basic signaling processes in the brain that are impaired and contribute to declines in mental function, and all the way to clinical trials for new medicines or lifestyle interventions. In addition to the renewal of the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center we're celebrating today, the passion of this dedicated team of scientists and clinicians studying Alzheimer's disease has contributed to an increase in extramural funding from $8.5 million in 2012 to over $21 million in 2021. And that represents an 11% increase per year for these people. That's amazing. A large part of this growth in research has resulted from NIH support of the programs within the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center grant that we're celebrating here. The infrastructure that is provided by this grant that includes cores with specialized equipment and expertise, support of junior scholars who will be the next generation of researchers to tackle this devastating problem, seed support for new ideas, identifying biomarkers to predict the disease course and severity, and broad-based access to neuropathology tissue bank sections has enabled the center not just to have a regional but a global impact. We thank the NIH for long-standing continued support of this program, and we look forward to the next 5 years of their efforts as a national coordinating center. Their combined efforts will reduce the burden of those suffering from neurodegenerative and Alzheimer's disease. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Linda Van Eldick, Program Director of the NIH Alzheimer's Disease Research Center and the Sanders Brown Center on Aging.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to all of you for coming here and to those of you who are listening in to help us celebrate and talk about the great things that Sanders Brown is doing. And so all of you know, and you just heard, that over 6 million Americans are affected by Alzheimer's disease. So it's likely that all of us are affected indirectly or directly by this disease. And we at Sanders Brown are working hard every day to support our patients and families. And we do this through community outreach, through clinical programs, through teaching, and of course our world-class research. So at Sanders Brown, we have supported in just the last 5 years 145 extramural research grants. We've run 42 different clinical studies of lifestyle interventions or potential new medicines to try to reduce the impact of this disease. And we're making really seminal discoveries. We're identifying and characterizing new types of dementia. We're identifying very early biomarkers or earliest warning signs if someone might be in trouble. And we're testing new interventions to hopefully come up with a prevention or potentially in the future even a cure. I became Sanders Brown Director 11 years ago in 2010, and since then we've actually recruited 18 new faculty into the center, and these faculty come from a dozen different departments across 7 colleges at the university, so we're truly a campus-wide center. And I'm so proud of our team. The faculty and staff are highly dedicated, they're motivated, and they're just a terrific team. I want to thank them very much. I also want to thank a few other groups. So our Philanthropy Council is very important. Our community support is what helps us to be able to drive many of these discoveries. And most importantly, I want to thank our research volunteers. We have a group of highly dedicated volunteers from the community. They spend a lot of time with us. They come back every year for an extensive series of workups. And they are the ones that are helping us to understand what's going on in the brain, the earliest changes that happen way before any memory or thinking problems. And so we're incredibly grateful to them and thank them essentially tremendous. I can't thank them enough. They are the lifeblood of our Alzheimer's Center. So just to conclude, I want to share another piece of good news is that later on this year, we're going to be opening a new Sanders Brown Clinic in the Turflin location, and that will allow us to more than double our capacity to see patients and research volunteers, and it'll be essentially a one-stop shop where people can get other services that they need, such as retinal screening or EEGs, and we'll have a expanded telemedicine service for people who have a hard time traveling. So being able to stand up here and celebrate today is an incredible honor, and I thank everyone. It's not me alone. We have a terrific team, and I just can't wait to see what we do in the future. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Linda. As you just heard from Dr. Van Eldick and Dr. Casas, this incredible team earns its way to do this research. There's a pure meritocracy, I like to say, that you can see in the United States, and that's competing for grants from NIH and other entities. We have that opportunity to compete for those pools of money because we have an effective advocate who is here today with us, Congressman Andy Barr, representing our congressional district. But I like to tell people he's here on days that are not so visible to everyone, but he is always curious. He asks good questions of us. He is able to take what we're doing and take it to the floors of Congress and be a strong advocate so that we will have those additional dollars to compete for so that we can better serve Kentucky. So I want to thank him for taking time from his busy schedule to be here today, and to thank you, Congressman Barr, for all those other days that even when you're not here, we do know your phone calls that can come at any hour of the day or night, and it represents your deep passion for the people of this district. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, President Cappolito, for those kind words. And as an alumnus of the College of Law at the University of Kentucky and a lifelong Wildcat resident of Lexington, Kentucky, it's quite easy for me to be an advocate for the university and all of your programs and the federal research that you compete for. And President Cappolito, you're exactly right. It is about a meritocracy. I'm happy to be a very small part of being your voice and advocate in Washington. But it truly is a credit to the people who are here and all the people behind the scenes who make it possible, truly possible, to get an award like this and a renewal. $14.5 million in additional funding from the National Institute on Aging. Dr. Van Eldick, that is a credit to your work, your leadership, and your team. So congratulations to you. Dr. Newman, Dr. Casas, thank you for the support that you provide. for the Sanders Brown Center on Aging, and it's really an honor to be here and celebrating this renewal of this well-deserved award. Throughout my service in Congress, I have been a voice and an advocate for the Sanders Brown Center on Aging and Alzheimer's research generally, because I know that the impact and the return on the federal investment in medical research has tremendous reach and benefits not only the researchers, the manufacturers, the medical suppliers, but also, most importantly, the patients and their families who struggle with this awful and terrible disease. The statistics do tell the tale. 6.2 million Americans currently struggle and suffer from Alzheimer's dementia in the United States in 2021. But as President Cappolito pointed out, this is a growing problem. He cited a CDC study of estimates that within 40 years, that number is going to triple. It's actually increasing at a very fast rate. We know that maybe in just another year or so, we're going to see 7.2 million Americans diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I am like many other Americans. My family has been affected and impacted by this. Right here in central Kentucky, my late wife's stepfather was diagnosed a few years ago with Alzheimer's, and we knew where to go. We knew that Barry needed to come to the Sanders Brown Center on Aging. And what my mother-in-law told me about their experience, and sadly Barry passed away earlier this year of Alzheimer's. But what Eleanor, his beloved widow, told me was how wonderful the people at Sanders Brown were to her as a caregiver and getting her the information that she needed. So, you know, we're celebrating this award for continuing the research on the interventions that are needed to eventually find treatments and possibly a cure for Alzheimer's, but it's also supporting these people. And in our case, Dr. Jaika, who was just terrific to our family. We really do appreciate that. I do want to just give you a little bit of the legislative background to this award because, you know, it's easy for us to send a letter or communicate to the National Institute on Aging and advocate for these dollars for Sanders Brown, but the reality is it is a meritocracy and it is a robust competition. And even though Sanders Brown is one of the 10 original centers that does this research, that doesn't mean just because we're an incumbent we're always going to get this money. We have to perform, we have to produce. And so with that, it also helps to have the appropriations that allows for accommodating that competition. And in December, I was proud to vote for an appropriation package which provided $3.1 billion for Alzheimer's research, a majority of which is directed through the National Institutes of Health. This was a $300 million increase over fiscal year 2020. And in my opinion, everybody in this room knows that I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like wasteful spending. The American taxpayers deserve that their tax dollars are spent wisely, responsibly, in a way that maximizes the return on the dollar. I can't think of a better investment for the American taxpayer than this. And I say that not just because I have a personal interest in this with my family. I say that because as Alzheimer's disease continues to progress and create a huge strain on the public fisc going forward, the return on investment to invest in Sanders Brown, to invest in these discoveries, to invest in their people, to find treatments and a cure can have a tremendous impact in terms of finding a medical breakthrough and then decreasing the overall cost and giving that return on investment. So it's easy for me to support that. And just one final note, it's also important that we advocate for these caregivers. I'm proud that the Congress in a bipartisan way passed the Improving Hope for Alzheimer's Act, which was signed into law in December 2020. This legislation, it's noteworthy since we're here and talking about Alzheimer's disease. It requires the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to conduct education and outreach about care planning services available for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias to physicians, physician assistants, nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, and certified nurses. And most importantly, it will give those living with Alzheimer's disease and their families, the caregivers, the resources that they need, including information about treatment options and services available to them. So moving forward, I will continue to closely monitor all of proposals like this that will impact individuals with Alzheimer's, help their families. And I'm proud of the University of Kentucky. I'm proud of the Sanders Brown Center on Aging. I'm proud to represent the Sanders Brown Center on Aging. I'm proud when I get to go to Washington, I get to brag to my colleagues that we are on the forefront in Lexington, Kentucky, at the University of Kentucky. We are at the forefront in the fight against Alzheimer's disease. And that fight and that research is leading to higher quality health care and increased opportunities for Kentuckians and Americans. This award to the team at Sanders Brown Center on Aging will continue their work, and it will promise to deliver impactful discoveries that offer new paradigms for preventing and treating Alzheimer's disease and offer hope to future generations. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Representative Barr. Thank you again to all of our speakers here this morning. At this time, we will open the floor up to any questions from the media. Sure. That concludes our event today. Thank you so much for joining us here today.